The moment I opened my lunchbox, I knew something was wrong. The smell hit me first, sour, metallic wrong. Then I saw it. Brown, slimy chunks swimming in some kind of jelly. Dog food. Actual dog food. The laughter started before I could even process it. Phones were already out recording. And then came her voice. Jade's voice, sharp and sweet, like poison. "Eat up, puppy," she squealed, throwing a milk-bone biscuit onto my tray. My face burned, my hands trembled, and I just sat there frozen as the cafeteria roared with cruel delight. My name is Lily Tran. I'm 17 years old. I've always been quiet. The kind of girl who gets forgotten when group projects are picked. I sit in the back where hand-me-downs from my cousin and carry a floral lunchbox my mom thrifted. I never thought I'd be a target. But bullies don't need a reason, just an opportunity. It started small. A snide comment about my worn-out shoes. A snicker when I answered a question in class. Then came the TikTok's edited clips where they dubbed my voice made me say humiliating things. Jade and her clique, Emily, Brooke, and Sarah, ran the school's social food chain. And 1 week ago, I made the mistake of interrupting them. They were filming one of their fake charity skits in the hallway, pretending to donate food to the less fortunate. I happened to walk by and dropped my books. One of them tripped over me. Jade called me a clumsy rodent on camera. I apologized, but it didn't matter. I had ruined the shot. The next day, the clip was up POV. When the sewer rat wants screen time. Thousands of likes. And now a week later, they escalated. That morning, I didn't think twice when I grabbed my lunchbox. Mom packed it like always, rice, chicken, pickled veggies. But they must have swapped it out. Somehow they had gotten into my locker. There were no security cameras in the hallway, just a row of battered metal doors and kids too busy with their own drama to care. As I stared at the can of wet food dumped into my lunch tray, the cafeteria turned into a courtroom. Phones captured my humiliation from every angle. A voice behind me mocked, "Don't forget to wag your tail," another. "Someone get her a collar." My throat burned with unshed tears. I stood up too fast, knocking the tray over. Sludge spilled onto the floor, splattering my shoes. I heard the shriek of laughter grow louder. My body moved on autopilot. I grabbed my bag, shoved my untouched books inside, and fled. In the hallway, I leaned against the cold lockers and finally let the sob out. It wasn't just about the dog food. It was what it meant. To them, I wasn't a person. I was entertainment. And in that moment, I promised myself this wasn't going to be the end of my story. Not like this. I wish I could tell you that was the first time they humiliated me. But it wasn't. It was just the worst time. And somehow, even though it hurt like hell, it didn't surprise me. I've never fit in here. I transferred to Northview High 2 years ago after my dad passed away. My mom couldn't afford the rent where we used to live, so we moved into my aunt's basement in this new district. New school, new people. But the same rule applied if you're quiet poor, and a little weird, you're easy prey. The bullying began almost immediately. My clothes didn't have brands. My phone was ancient. I brought Vietnamese food for lunch pho banh mi, or sticky rice wrapped in banana leaves. To them, it all looked gross. I remember one boy pretending to gag the first time he saw my lunch. Jade laughed. That laugh, that sharp, high-pitched cackle has haunted me ever since. But things really spiraled after the video. I didn't mean to ruin their skit. I was late for biology, rushing with my books pressed to my chest, when I stumbled right into Emily's foot. She tripped dramatically like it was a stage play. Her Starbucks flew, her headband twisted. Jade froze for half a second, then screamed at me like I'd committed war crimes. I apologized over and over, but it didn't matter. Brooke filmed the whole thing, added a voiceover, where they called me Rat Girl and posted it to TikTok. It got 80,000 views in 2 days. My DMs flooded with rat emojis. I deleted my Instagram the same night. But what broke me most wasn't what they said online. It was how no one offline said anything. Not the students who watched it happen. Not the teachers who clearly saw me crying in class the next day. I felt invisible and exposed all at once. Since then, Jade and her pack made it their mission to push me further every week. Glue in my locker vents, notes taped to my back. Chew toy for rent, one said. It didn't matter if I avoided them. They found me. They circled me like wolves every time I was alone, until I wasn't just afraid, I was numb. So by the time they put dog food in my lunchbox, I wasn't even shocked. That's the worst part. I expected it. That's how deep they got under my skin. But something was different this time. I think it was the moment I saw a 6th grader across the cafeteria, staring at me with huge eyes, her tray clutched tight. She looked terrified, not of me, but of becoming me. And something inside me flipped. I wasn't just hurt anymore. I was angry. They wanted a show, they were going to get one. But this time, I would be the director. I didn't go back to the cafeteria the next day, or the day after that. I spent my lunches in the nurse's office pretending to have stomach cramps. No one asked questions. Honestly, no one cared enough to notice, but the damage followed me home. That night after the dog food prank, my little brother Ethan came bounding into my room holding his tablet. "Lily, look, you're famous." He was grinning. He didn't understand. On the screen, I saw it me, frozen in the frame, recoiling from my lunch tray, mouth open in mid-gasp. The title read, "Puppy Girl Gets a Special Treat." It had already hit 120,000 views. I didn't even know who posted it. Probably one of Jade's worshippers. But the caption, "Eat Up Puppy," was burned into my brain. The comments were worse. Why is she acting surprised rats love that stuff? Someone get her a leash. Bro, I can smell the screen. I closed Ethan's tablet without a word. He looked confused, then guilty. I thought it was funny. "It's not," I said flatly, and turned away before the tears came. Mom knocked on my door an hour later, holding a cup of tea. She didn't ask what was wrong. She just sat beside me and stroked my hair like she used to when I was little. I broke down in her lap and she held me until I was quiet again. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment over and over. The smell, the laughter, the cold metal of the spoon I had instinctively picked up before realizing what was in my food, and most of all, Jade's smile, that smug, triumphant smirk, like she had won. Maybe she had. Because I didn't feel like a person anymore. I felt like a joke everyone else was in on. A meme. A freak. A joke with a name. I stopped talking in class. My grades slipped. I wore a hoodie every day and sat in the farthest corner of every room. Even my best friend from middle school, Maya, stopped sitting with me. I couldn't blame her. Who wants to be seen with the dog girl? One afternoon, I stood in the bathroom stall reading the words someone had scribbled on the door in Sharpie. "Don't feed the mutt. She bites." And below that, she probably eats her own poop. I didn't cry. I didn't even react. I just stared at it for a full minute. And then slowly, I took out my phone and opened the camera. I started recording. Not myself. Not a confession. Just the door, then the hallway, then the cafeteria. And then, an idea formed. Quiet and small, but it was there. If no one would speak up for me, then I'd do the speaking. I'd show the world what they really were. Not the queens of the school. Just bullies. I don't know what I expected when I walked into English class the next day, but it certainly wasn't her. A new face. Young, confident. The kind of teacher who didn't just read from slides. She introduced herself as Ms. Reyes, the long-term sub, while Mr. Kelly was out for surgery. She smiled like she meant it. I didn't want to talk to her. I planned to sit silent as always, eyes down, hoodie up. But she didn't let that happen. After class, as everyone rushed out, she stopped me. "Lily Wright?" she asked gently. My stomach twisted. "Yeah, I saw something online last night. Something really hurtful. And I saw you in it." I froze. She wasn't judging me. Her voice was calm. Not pitying, just there. I braced myself for the usual report it to the principal speech. But she didn't say that. Instead, she said, "Do you want to talk about it?" I almost said no. But then I surprised myself. "Not really. I want them to stop." She nodded. "Then maybe it's time to stop playing by their rules." That's all she said. And it stuck in my mind for days. After school, I found myself staying late in the library. Not to study, to watch. I pulled up Jade's TikTok, her YouTube channel, her Instagram. She curated everything, fake charity acts, dance trends, empowering quotes. People ate it up. She had a huge following, mostly students at school who didn't dare challenge her. But behind the perfect filters and sparkly captions, I saw patterns. Moments where her mask slipped. When she made a nasty face at a janitor walking by. When she shoved another girl out of frame. When she whispered something cruel just as the camera cut. She had built an image. I was going to tear it down. Ms. Reyes helped me without asking too many questions. She let me borrow a school tablet, taught me how to edit video clips, suggested I look into public TikTok archives. I could tell she knew what I was doing, but she never pressured me. She just gave me the tools. For the next week, I documented everything. I carried my phone close. I filmed when Jade threw a pencil at a freshman's head, when Emily shoved past a girl with crutches, when Brooke laughed as they blocked the bathroom stall and banged on the door while someone cried inside. I didn't confront them. I let them feel untouchable. And when I was ready, I uploaded the video not on my own account, but anonymously. The title, "This is Who You're Really Following." It started with Jade's smiling face, and then it all unraveled clip by clip, frame by frame. No narration, no edits. Just the truth, raw and unfiltered. It hit 50,000 views overnight. By Monday morning, everyone was watching it in the hallways, even them. Jade's face was pale when I walked into school that morning. It was the first time I'd seen her without that smug little smirk. She stood near her locker, huddled with Emily and Brooke, whispering frantically. Every few seconds, one of them would glance around nervously, like someone might jump out with a microphone. Phones were everywhere. Everyone was watching that video, my video. I moved through the hallway like a ghost with a secret. No one knew it was me yet. I kept my head down, heart pounding. For once, it wasn't from fear, it was adrenaline. Power. Justice. In second period, Ms. Reyes gave me the smallest smile when our eyes met. She knew. By lunch, it had snowballed. The student body president posted a reaction video calling it disgusting. A few underclassmen uploaded their own stories, how Jade shoved them, laughed at them, filmed them crying. Someone else leaked a group chat screenshot where the girls mocked a disabled student's haircut. People were angry. People who'd never spoken up before were finally raising their voices. And the ones who stayed silent, they didn't laugh anymore. But the real moment, the one I'll never forget, was when Jade tried to flip it. She stood up in the middle of the cafeteria just like she owned the place. Eyes wide, voice shaking, but not from fear, from performance. "None of this is true," she shouted. "This is just someone trying to ruin my life. These clips are fake. It's harassment." But nobody clapped. Nobody stood with her. Then I did something I never imagined I'd have the courage to do. I walked toward her. The crowd parted slowly. A few people gasped when they realized where I was heading. Jade saw me. Her lip curled in disbelief. "Oh, look who's here," she spat. "Little Miss Puppy." I didn't flinch. I pulled out my phone, opened the original clip, the one of her saying, "Eat up, puppy," in the cafeteria, tossing the milk bone on my tray. I held it up. The crowd watched, and they remembered. "Still think it's fake?" I asked, my voice shaking but loud enough to carry. Jade stared at me, mouth open, no words. A kid near the vending machine whispered, "She got owned." Another said karma's real. Jade grabbed her bag and stormed out. Emily and Brooke followed, unsure and pale. I didn't cry. I didn't collapse. I didn't run. I sat down in the cafeteria, at my usual table, alone. But this time, no one laughed. No one whispered. No one threw anything. Instead, someone walked over. It was Maya, my old best friend, the one who had drifted away. She sat beside me quietly and said, "That video, you made that, didn't you?" I didn't deny it. She smiled, a little sad, a little proud. About time someone stood up. We ate together. And for the first time in what felt like forever, lunch tasted like mine again. The fallout came fast and loud. By the end of the day, the principal had announced an emergency assembly. Rumors flew down the halls like wildfire. They're getting suspended. Someone's pressing charges. Jade's parents are suing the school. I didn't care. For once, I wasn't the one running. They were. That afternoon, I was called into the office. My palms were sweating, heart thudding against my ribs like a drum. I was ready for the worst detention, maybe even suspension for filming on school grounds. But when I stepped in, Ms. Reyes was already sitting beside the vice principal. They weren't angry. In fact, the vice principal folded his hands on the desk and said, "We're sorry." I blinked. "What?" He continued. "We failed to protect you. What you endured wasn't just bullying. It was targeted harassment. We're taking steps." And they did. Jade, Emily, and Brooke were suspended for 2 weeks minimum. Their phones were confiscated. School-wide assemblies were scheduled on cyberbullying and student safety. And every teacher was required to review the footage and file reports. But even with all that, the most satisfying justice wasn't from the administration. It was from them, the other students. The whispers changed tone. No longer mocking. No longer puppy girl. Now it was, "That's Lily." She stood up to Jade. Even people who used to avoid eye contact gave me nods in the hallways. Some apologized, others just said, hey. I didn't need their friendship. I didn't even want it. But the silence, that terrifying, lonely silence, was gone. And with it, the fear. I started eating lunch in the cafeteria again, still at the edge, still mostly alone, but no longer hiding. Maya joined me sometimes. Other days, I just sat with my book, finally able to enjoy a bite without dreading what might be inside. On Friday, Ms. Reyes pulled me aside after class. I hope you know what you did, she said. You didn't just defend yourself. You gave other girls permission to fight back. That hit me hard, because I hadn't planned on being brave. I was just tired of feeling like dirt, tired of crying alone in stalls and hearing myself called an animal. But maybe being tired is where courage starts. The final surprise came in the form of a DM. From a username I didn't recognize, Claire Huenge 4. Hi, I'm a freshman. I saw your video. They used to mess with me too. I never told anyone. But I just wanted to say, thank you. You're not a puppy. You're a lion. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I smiled. I didn't reply right away, but I would. Because for the first time in a long time, I felt like I mattered. Like my voice wasn't background noise. Like my story could mean something. Not just to me, but to someone else who might be sitting at a lunch table right now, too scared to open her lunchbox. If you had told me months ago that one video could change everything, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have laughed bitterly and said, nothing ever changes. But I was wrong. Bullies don't thrive because they're powerful. They thrive because we stay silent. Because we believe the lies they whisper loud enough for the whole school to hear. Lies that we're disgusting, unworthy freaks. Lies that become chains. But here's the truth, the moment you speak up, their power cracks. And if you keep speaking, if you stand tall even with shaky knees, they break. I won't pretend I'm fearless now, or that the scars Jade and her friends left have faded completely, but I am stronger. Not because I fought back perfectly, but because I stopped running. So if you're reading this and you've been laughed at, recorded, whispered about in hallways, know this, their cruelty is not your identity. Your voice matters, and someday when you're ready, the world will hear it.